Hey, this is Jim with SportsStream.us. In this segment, we are being joined by Jesse Miller from Midtown Video, talking about sports production and the opportunity of using those sports production systems to kind of land and expand and to grow opportunities to different production arenas throughout several different workflows. We're going to talk about video production in sports, audio needs and audio production, in-venue experiences, and just everything that happens everywhere along the way. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us today.
Really great to be here. Thanks for having me, Jim.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Let's start by taking a moment to introduce yourself and Midtown Video to our Sports Stream audience.
Sure. Midtown Video is an audiovisual boutique integrator out of Miami, Florida. This is our 41st year in business. I have the honor of being second generation management. We have a mission to deliver systems our clients can use with pride and confidence. So in addition to sports broadcasting systems, we're delivering television and streaming networks, video conferencing systems, sound systems, video walls, that sort of stuff.
That's excellent. And I know you're working a lot with different schools, organizations, corporate AV. I mean, you guys really put your hands in a little bit of everything down there in Miami. And actually, the set that I have pulled in through the miracle of movie magic is your brand new showcase conference room there in Miami, huh?
Thank you for mentioning that. It looks like you're in it. We call that the conference room of the universe. You can
Awesome.
see our 108-inch video wall in the backdrop there. That's because we've got to compete with the beautiful sun streaming in through the windows behind you.
It's great. I love that we were able to set that up. And I love that you guys have taken the opportunity to turn your own corporate space into a perfect example and an exhibit of some of the services that Midtown Video can offer, not only in the sports production space, but in all these other different arenas as well. So thank you for doing that for anyone that's interested in this stuff.
You know, Midtown is famous for using the gear that we promote. So we deliver TriCasters to our clients. We use TriCaster on all of our streaming promotions. You know, if we're going to be installing video walls in our clients' conference rooms, now we've got a conference room with the video wall there to show them why we're making those kinds of decisions. So I appreciate you giving me a second to highlight this. It's another instance where Midtown Video is using the gear that we're promoting. We're drinking our own Kool-Aid. You know what I mean?
So does that mean that you're getting ready to set up a 20,000 seat venue to talk about some of the sports production?
It's a great question. We're not there yet, but if we
Okay.
were, we would certainly be using the Panasonic studio cameras and the badass KRA sound systems the Danley sound systems that we like to implement in those stadiums. Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about some of those different installs because that is what the sports production audience is tuning in to hear about. You recently had the opportunity to work with some different projects at the University of Miami, one of which is this brand new rowing gym, right?
Yeah. So the rowing gym is one of the most recent training facilities that we put together. We were actually honored to outfit the University of Miami Hurricanes locker room with a booming Danley sound system, and we've done their weight room as well. I just want to share that across the board, all their athletic facilities, including their rowing team, they need sound reinforcement. This was a beautiful church that the property was purchased by the University of Miami in Coral Gables, and they came to us with this challenge like, hey, we're gonna convert this to the weight room, to the training facility for our rowing gym. Can you repurpose some of our gear and put a sound system in here? So we did. We love selling new gear. Sometimes our clients, it's not the football team, it's the rowing team. So they don't have the same kind of budget. So they said,
Sure.
we've got some of this gear. Can you implement it? Our audio engineer had a special challenge because look at those vaulted ceilings, right? So we put our heads together, came up with a way to reuse some of their gear, add a little bit of subwoofers and amplifiers to go with it, and give their crew members a way to motivate when they're cranking out the extra reps on those rowing machines.
And I've had the opportunity to visit the University of Miami, and it is a gorgeous campus that is state of the art in almost every building, in every discipline, but surrounded by this rich history throughout the local area. So to know that they're taking some of these historical places like a converted church and turning it into a state of the art training facility, I'm sure you had a bunch of unique challenges that you had to address through this process.
Definitely, the city of Coral Gables is very strict in their permitting procedures and stuff like this. Yeah, so but we that's you come to expect that. We're
Sure.
audiovisual integration's a construction trade, so
Yep.
we got to pull permits and talk to the guys downtown. We've got to it's not just speakers. The speakers have to be integrated beautifully into these existing structures. So we're working with their designers and making things beautiful, not just sounding totally awesome.
And I think that's one of the benefits you get when you work with a system integrator like Midtown Video is you have the experience of this project and other projects where you know what kind of code issues you're going to run into with the local jurisdictions, what kind of concerns you're going to make in converting older historical spaces to these state-of-the-art facilities. And every step along the way, you're working together with all of these different teams to make sure that project hits the accomplished goal with the budget that everyone set out in mind. And that all
Something
gets,
really
yeah, go ahead.
something really fun and creative that we got to do for their football team was this recruiting project. They got this round room, at the end of a 60-foot long hallway. We've got some cool videos up about this, but in order to bring the high school kids in and give them an experience they'll never forget, we outfitted that rotunda with like 10 projectors in the ceiling and a fog screen at the end of the hallway with a rear projector going in. So these kids walk through this like mist with highlights being projected through the doorway into this 360-degree projection mapped, rotunda with animated uniform changes on a 7-foot tall football player statue, and in the entire 22-foot room they've got highlights playing and hype videos playing, so that when the kids walk in, their jaws drop and they're treated to a little bit of an experience of what it might be like to play for the Hurricanes football team. It's not really sports broadcasting, but this sports like they're really pumping support behind technology, and they're using it to generate output. I mean, the recruiting classes of University of Miami have been better and better since we put that rotunda in there. I don't know. I can't claim direct causality, but certainly there's a correlation. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And, it's interesting because that is one of the recurring points that we've made throughout this week is that there are a lot of sports production adjacent opportunities where it is the recruiting, it is the training rooms, like you showed with the rowing gym. It is a lot more than just broadcasting the game from the venue itself, although that is one of the key elements and exactly what we're looking at here with the ESPN ACCN control room from the University of Miami, right?
This was a big deal when when the ESPN launched all of the separate conference networks. The University of Miami had to convert from just broadcasting on the internet to linear television broadcast. Now that was a major investment. Something funny about the Hurricanes is that although basketball, tennis, soccer, volleyball, swimming, all of those sports are on campus, famously the Hurricane football team plays at Hard Rock Stadium where the Dolphins are. So while the UM is competing with all these other ACC schools, all those schools have their football stadiums on campus. So they're getting these wild budgets to convert their broadcast system. UM, because football was specifically not a part of their ACC network broadcasting investment, they were given a different level of budget than, say, the guys at Clemson or what have you. So we
Sure.
had to take that budget that didn't take into account football broadcasting and convert their internet distribution systems with television linear broadcasting network. And what you see here in the photo is the result of that. I mean, a massive video wall on the for multi-view. You've got different bays. The graphics bay is on the far wall. The engineering and camera shading bay is in the center there. You see they've got about 13 different cameras for shading. And on the near wall on the right side here is where their 2 replay operators sit. So they are able to pump out, I think, 8 channels of replay between 12 camera views. And plenty of room on that long wall for the TD all the way on the left, their producers, their directors, and all of that, all of these stations. This is in an administrative building. This is on the second floor of Hecht Athletic Center, like where the coaches' offices are. But it's responsible for broadcasting from venues all over the campus. So they've got fiber from the control room to the soccer field, where they also have Olympic sports, to the baseball stadium, to their basketball stadium, where they've also got volleyball and tennis. They've got dark fiber connecting the control room to every single one of these venues where they've got Panasonic studio cameras. So this is, we'll talk about NDI and network distribution, I think, coming up. But in this situation, this is essentially triax over fiber SMPTE fiber extended over dark fiber. And this is first-rate production. Obviously we're broadcasting these games on television on the ACC network. This project was phenomenal. On the other hand, where the cameras are point to point over fiber, all of that intercom is actually using Dante over the network. So while some of their fiber strands are being used to connect cameras, 1 through 8 or whatever, there's always a pair of fiber strands supporting a network connection so that the venue crew members can be connected to the control room crew members over Dante, over their IT network.
And I think that's one of the things we're seeing a lot more of in these integration projects is the combination between your traditional baseband and fiber connections to AV over IP with audio in the Dante world, video in NDI, and a lot of that stuff is now starting to be mixed and matched in installations, giving you greater opportunity for growth, greater opportunities of setting up remote production systems, and even getting more and more production capabilities with new camera sources, new control options, remote operators, and access to different sports in different parts of these campuses.
Yeah, their announcers are actually remote. So some of them are dialing in over, I think, over Unity
Oh,
cloud
wow.
intercom system. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, and that's one of the biggest things we're seeing in the remote space is you can really take any aspect of that production and set them up where they are going to be the most successful to join in for that broadcast.
It would be nice and clean if every solution was like either point to point or network distribution.
Right.
If every solution was going to be either on-prem or remote, but every situation turns out to be a little bit of a hybrid.
Little bit different. And we talked a lot about the different production environments and all these great installs and stuff you're doing. Sometimes it's a little bit simpler than that, right?
That's right. That's right. Here's a great example at FIU's Ocean Bank Arena. For years and years, they're using an existing audio system where the racks are all up on the third floor rack room. They got their speakers distributed throughout the space and a pair of wireless handheld microphones. Well, after 10 or 11 years or so, one of those channels is going to go bad. So FIU called us out and they're like, hey, can you fix this wireless microphone? So we check it out and it's like, the frequencies are in the 500 megahertz range. So the manufacturer won't even repair this microphone because those frequencies are illegal. So I had to come back and say, look, I can't fix this one channel, right? You got a dual channel receiver in the rack. You've got some paddle antennas, directional antennas to make sure that there's coverage on the field of your wireless microphones. The good news is those paddle antennas, it's a wide enough spectrum that I can put in some 400 or 600 megahertz wireless microphones that are frequency legal. So I can't repair the one channel, but let's do this. Let's replace your dual channel receiver, put a new dual channel receiver in there. I don't need to change the amps. I don't need to program the DSP. It's just XLR out, channels 1 and 2 to the DSP. Don't need to do anything there. The paddle antennas are already good. The RF cables are already ran. It was like just a straight swap. Take out the dual channel illegal frequency receiver, put in a new dual channel receiver, and have our technicians just do the auto scan to find the best legal frequencies between the transmitter and receiver, and they're back up and running. It was a simple situation. We didn't have to build a whole studio around it, and it worked for the team, so they're happy now, which is great.
Jesse, what I love about this illustration is one of the biggest questions we get asked is at what point do I call Midtown Video? When is the right time to bring in a system integrator? And what this illustrates is that anytime you need to rely on the experience, the creativity that can only come from having met these challenges over and over again, that's when you make the phone call, because the resources that you have from your years of knowledge just get you to the finish line that much faster, doesn't it?
I appreciate that. Yeah, if the question is when's the right time to call Midtown Video, the answer is always right now. If you
Yep.
feel yourself reaching for an online retailer because you wanted to buy a, wireless microphone, give us a call instead and make sure it's the exact right one that's going to get you exactly what you need. Like we measure our success in our clients' output, right? Your
Yep.
football team's going to score more touchdowns when we can provide your technology.
I love that, because you're recruiting the better players with the recruitment rooms. That's one of the big things
Exactly.
for it. And now at FIU, you also had a big hand in the control room and the audio and video over IP with an NDI network that we actually have talked about on some other shows. There's some great detailed case studies available on VizRT's website. So, Jesse, I cannot miss the opportunity to have you joining us and not tell us again about the great NDI production stuff that you've done with FIU.
Thank you for bringing that up. This is another perfect example. You know, you want to centralize your control room. You don't want to drag your TriCaster from the baseball field to the soccer field when you're switching games. And that's exactly what FIU came to us with. And they are, what are they? Conference USA. So Conference USA had some new requirements for their streaming and their broadcasting. So our buddies at FIU came to us and said, "Can you help us plan this out?" They gave us the two goals: one, centralized control room, right? And then get us up to standards so that Conference USA will be thrilled with our production quality. This is another perfect example of a hybrid situation, right? We ran fiber, or they ran fiber. They asked us, where do we run the fiber? So we're using point-to-point fiber links for their cameras specifically. But because we also integrated Dante and we also integrated NDI, we created some links that before were not really possible. So they have, obviously, like all of the other schools, they have a separate in-house team. Their marketing team is doing the in-house video board show, where their broadcast team is doing the streaming. But wouldn't it be great if both teams had access to each other's cameras? So even though we're bringing SDI directly over fiber from the football stadium to the control room, we're also using a pair of fiber links to extend the network from the control room in the basketball arena to the production studio, essentially the football stadium. So by putting the TriCaster that their marketing team is using for the big Jumbotron on the same network as the TriCaster in the control room for the ESPN Conference USA stream, now marketing has access to all of production's cameras and vice versa. Production has access to all of marketing's cameras. This allowed us to put a PTZ camera in a suite at the football stadium, so their on-premise announcer not only has a camera that we can cut to rather than just their audio, right? You want to do the hit at halftime where he looks at the camera and says, "Well, it's been a very exciting game," and et cetera, not back out to the field. Now that's on camera. It's not just audio, because we got a PTZ camera on this NDI network. Additionally, their announcer now has an NDI return video feed, so he knows what's on program. I mean, just getting the referee's wireless microphone from the stadium over Dante to the control room was an immense improvement in production value. So utilizing things like NDI and Dante to get your audio-video sources on the network, allowing you to distribute them across the campus, it reinforces the push to centralize your control room and hit any sports venue in the entire campus from the one control room. I mean, you can tell this kind of stuff gets me a little bit excited. I'm passionate about making it easier for our allies, for our clients, to like produce the best streams possible. Watching the stream, watching TV, it's got to be better than going to the game. Otherwise, you just buy a ticket and go to the game, right? If you're going to say, "Hey, Golden Panthers are playing, conference rival this weekend, I really want to watch that stream," it cannot just be a wide shot from the 50-yard line, right? We need establishing shots, we need hero shots, we need close-ups, we need tight follows, but we need the referees microphone in the audio. We need commentary from the play-by-play, from the announcers and the color guys. It's got to be better than being there. And now more than ever before, it's affordable to do that. You don't need, in some cases, you do need a $2 million control room, as we put into ACCN. But sometimes it can be a fraction of that cost. It can
Yep.
be a fraction of that cost, and that's what we did at FIU. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I think one of the things too is it could be a fraction of that cost as an initial investment with a plan to grow and expand over time. And that's where Midtown
certainly.
Video can really help identify your immediate goals, your future goals, your short term plan, and long term planning on getting to some of those more creative aspects and using sports production to really facilitate all sorts of different productions, whether it's the production team, the marketing team, the broadcast team, and more. So if you have any questions about any of the projects we talked about today, if you want to learn more about how you can implement it into your production workflow, give Jesse at Midtown Video a call. Him and his team are super knowledgeable and can really help you address all of your production goals. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a super pleasure, Jim. Thank you for having me.
And stay tuned for more from sportstream.us.